Salam, namaste, and welcome back to Tech Chai, ladies and gentlemen. We are live on radio at this point and also on our Facebook page. आप हमें देख सकते हैं. If you simply go to facebook.com/Radio Zindagi, I have the distinct honor of hosting two very, very fantastic gentlemen who are dressed to the T for Diwali, which reminds me, happy Diwali, all of you. अगर आप मेरे शो में पहली बार डायल इन कर रहे हैं तो मैं आपको बता दूं, this is the Tech Chai which airs every Tuesday at 3:30 p.m. and we feature Dr. Sam and a very special person that he features every week, also known as the Techie of the Week. Dr. Sam के बारे में मैं जो भी बोलूं कम ही होगा. He has kind of been my personal mentor also organically, but he is the founder and CEO of Strategism Inc. and the contact details there are, you can know more about them by visiting their website, which is www.strategisminc.com. The phone number to dial is 408-372-7275 and the email address to email is training@strategisminc.com. Strategism बहुत सारी चीजें offer करते हैं, courses, trainings, workshops. They help you get placed whether or not in internships or full-time jobs, but it is the perfect bed if you are looking to get back into the workforce. शायद आपका layoff हो चुका है या फिर आप you're new in your career and you're starting out and you need that extra bit of guidance to place you in your dream job. Strategism is the place to be. How are you doing, Dr. Sam, today?
I am doing amazing. It's a beautiful day. Happy Diwali to all our listeners. मंगलवार का दिन है, मंगलवार की शाम है, शने सूर्यास्त की तरफ बढ़ रहे हैं, and it's an exciting and fantastic opportunity for me to interact with the community and have all the wonderful people, Roshni, the light, with me.
बिल्कुल और आप ही इंट्रोड्यूस कीजिए जो हमारे खास मेहमान है, द टेकी ऑफ द वीक. लेकिन पहले उनके लिए थोड़ा सा हम ड्रम रोल तो जरूर बजाएंगे. इंट्रोड्यूसिंग द टेकी ऑफ द वीक.
Techie of the week. Spotlight.
So go ahead, Dr. Sam. Who is the spotlight on this week?
Well, techie of the week, it sounds like when you're in the Silicon Valley, the techie can take multiple forms, right, in myriad ways. So number one, a techie could be running a company, a techie could be helping companies, or a techie could be, running any show like yourself, right? You're a techie and director at Salesforce, but you are here running an RJ show. So likewise, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the one and only, the greatest Yogi Chug.
क्या बात है योगी जी, and what a day to debut on the occasion of Diwali. आप मतलब योगी है और आपका नाम तो एकदम spirituality से जुड़ा हुआ है, and what a day to debut. So welcome to our show Tech Chai, Yogi ji. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, and obviously आप दिवाली की बात कर रहे हैं तो योगी का जो नाम होता है वो योगियों का राजा होता है.
बिल्कुल.
So certainly coming off of Diwali and certainly into the next few days.
Yeah.
It's just an opportune time to be a part of the show. Dr. Sam, thank you so much for inviting us today.
Absolutely, sir. It is so good to see you, and you have helped me and so many other entrepreneurs find places. I still remember TechMart office was your contribution, then my office here, and then I remember you helping the community in so many different ways, being a political member of the society. So not only you've made political contributions to the community that should be really recognized, but at the same time, your contribution on the business side should also be recognized and appreciated.
Amazing. So, Dr. Sam, before we go any further into our चर्चा over chai, यानी कि tech chai, ये बताइए मेरे listeners को कि आपने योगी जी को as techie of the week क्यों चुना? What makes Yogi Chug, of course, he's a leading member of the community who has made tremendous contributions, but what was your specific reason to make him our distinguished community member of the week, aka Techie of the Week?
अच्छा आपको सही बताऊं, मेरे दोस्त ने मैंने चुन लिया.
वैसे तो डॉक्टर सैम पूरा the whole world is your friend.
Yes, that's
वो
never
एक श्लोक है ना गीता में, वासुदेवाय कुटुंब. So everybody is a relative. वैसे तो सभी है आपके दोस्त, लेकिन योगी जी क्यों स्पेशल है, क्यों टेकी ऑफ द वीक है?
The खास बात about Yogi ji is not only he's a community leader, he's been the Fremont City Council elections for 2020, and he was recommended and endorsed by people like Ro Khanna, the congressman, and Gavin Newsom. I saw that on his website. So he's made tremendous contributions to U.S.-India relations, and especially in the technology and defense area for collaboration. So that's how I feel that he is the techie distinguished person of the week.
Awesome. And this is the very first time Dr. Sam has made a deviation. So you must be really really special, Yogi ji. क्योंकि इसके पहले डॉक्टर साहब सिर्फ टेकीज जो जिनका मतलब आप भी टेकी है मुझे पता है उसके बारे में हम और चर्चा करेंगे लेकिन so far डॉक्टर सैम उन्हें फीचर किए हैं in this show who are currently in tech and that's their primary identity. So you must be really really special. तो डॉक्टर साहब हमारे listeners को पहले बताइए ना कि योगी जी के जो state level, national level contributions रहे वो क्या रहे. I'm sure he's a very familiar and known face in the Bay Area. लेकिन अगर आप अपनी ज़बानी कुछ बताएंगे योगी जी के बारे में तो मेरे listeners को ज़्यादा पता चलेगा.
इंडिया में बोलते हैं ना कि योगी जी का दर्शन क्या कहते हैं इनका इंट्रोडक्शन करना इज लाइक दिए को हमें सूरज को दिया दिखाना है बिकॉज हाँ ही इज ऑलरेडी सो वेल नोन दैट यू नो ही इज लाइक सन सो इफ आई टॉक अबाउट हिम इट्स लाइक वेरी small thing to do, but his being Fremont Planning Commissioner, his chair of Fremont Economic Development Commission, and CA of the Asian Pacific American Public Affairs. All these, I think, at the local level and then at the national and state level, he's been on the director for political liaison between the Foundation of India and Indian Diaspora Studies. He's also been the chair for Tri-City Democratic Forum. He's a delegate of the Democratic Party. And then he's a charter member of TIE. So all these things, I think, makes him a distinguished person of the community who's made tremendous contributions.
That is,
wow,
that is quite a portfolio.
Is that all about me? I've always admired the fact that I've always been described as the son of the community. Certainly, we all got to make a living, right?
Yeah.
Certainly my career, PlayStation, and then God was fortunate enough to give me the chance to run into my own business, right? So commercial real estate is something that I do today. But I'll tell you, if there's one thing that I would want the world to always come and know about me is I deeply care about the immigrant story. I deeply care about what we've accomplished as a community. And I also deeply understand that politics is not a bad word. Politics is not a zero-sum game, and our immigrant story will be legitimized when we have the sense of a political voice. And that political voice is what I always yearn for. And if I could do this full-time, I would always come back and tell our community, we can do so much. Techie is just techie, right? But even techie these days is politics. Dr. Salmon will talk about this in our program today. But I'm fascinated by technology, but I'm also fascinated by the potential of our immigrant community and our diaspora.
That is amazing. That is so heartwarming to hear and so much needed, right? क्योंकि जो political climate है वो हमेशा बदलता रहता है. And because of that, the immigrant story also changes. Right now, it's at the helm of another change, right, with all of this coming in. So it is tremendous, and thank you so much for caring about that diaspora. तो योगी जी मैं अगला सवाल आपसे करूँगी मैं. तो you, like you said, in your past life, so-called, you've been a techie yourself, you've been an entrepreneur, like you said. Can you touch a little bit about that? कि वो past life में योगी जी क्या करते थे?
That's a great question. My first foray in corporate America was in banking. In the 80s, the first time I worked for a bank that was virtual, way ahead of its time. We did remarkably well. Then when Monica and I got married, my wife was doing her rotations in Massachusetts and Boston when she went to get her extension of her degree from All Indian Institute of Medical Sciences. I happened to work for a company that was in telecom, and we revolutionized the cellular carrier concept, and that company went public, and then went private, and then it got acquired by Goldman Sachs. Came back to the Bay Area, worked for what I think was one of the most fascinating careers, and a lot of people probably don't even know this. I ran PlayStation for Sony, was their first division, ran that for 15 years. Became a part of a system of a Japanese culture in America. After a while, you start to stagnate. I came back and parked myself. And then, after that, real estate. But we mystified this idea on the techie side. Most of my book of business is tech, pharmaceuticals, industries, manufacturing. So that's what I do for professional work. But I do think that technology has been an issue that I think is fantastic for America. Bring manufacturing back, our immigrant H1s, our immigration story, our students H1. It's a culmination where I think our community is getting tested. But I believe that it's getting tested for the better. Because once we rise, we'll do better. We're never going to look back.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen that happening many times. .com bust,
Yeah.
right? Was a crash and pet.com kind of companies collapsed, but the community grew. And then real estate bust 2008.
Yeah.
The community came out of that and grew. So right now is the testing time, but I'm confident that the community will come back and be ruling the roost, and will be winners and champions.
If we play it right, we can. Dr. Sam, you and I have had these conversations a long time ago. Every immigrant community, through these metamorphoses of cycles, right? We had .com, we had Y2K, we had now the AI revolution, right? And in the part of the AI revolution, our community can either become submerged under the nuances of tech if we uncheck its prowess and we don't do more. I also think our community has to become a little bit more humble. Our community has to get a little bit more ingrained into the American vernacular and our society. I think that there's a delicate balance between Karm Bhumi and Vishwa Bhumi and all this idea about India and America. I'll tell you what my argument is. I look at the U.S.-India partnership in a very different way. Most people will often talk about India Mahan hai, India acha hai. The statement I'm going to make is probably going to alienate somebody who's going to come back and say, "Arey, Yogi, how can you forget India?" I haven't forgotten India. India is in my heart. India is one of the greatest experiments of democracy. But I left India 41 years ago.
Wow.
So I tell people that 1.6 billion people of India will take care of India just fine. Let's really focus on this country that has given us so much, and let's contribute to capturing the hearts and minds. We've become a monolithic community. Biggest temples, biggest melas. But in the end of the day, does America tolerate or does America resent? I think the normalization of being able to speak your mind is the difference between a democratic and a Republican regime. I think the lessons to be learned. And I think that's where our community has to understand we have to be better. We didn't come here to become average immigrants.
Yeah.
We came here to rock the world and allow this country to give us what enables every one of us to seize the heavens and catch hell on the way down.
Awesome.
So
that's the same
my
thing I
belief.
keep telling all my listeners and my students. They meet me that, hey, this is the time for us to reinvent ourselves, right? This is the time to showcase to the world that, whether it is AI or it is immigration, we can withstand all that pressure and adapt and melt into the American culture and then be a part of the bigger picture. So I see that in next 2 to 3 years, the community will emerge as a winner and take this forward in a fantastic way.
It can. It can. I do think that the story of our immigrant community has to be told. We have to be talking about how India was able to imbibe in us certain values.
Yeah.
The sense of plurality, the sense of being able to recognize that when given an opportunity and you succeed, to give back to those that have been left behind. I think that's our Indian American DNA.
Yeah, I do like what you're saying about about the getting into more mainstream American way of life, so to speak, because I do think we, like you said, we have the biggest temples, we have the biggest events, but ज़्यादातर देसी लोग ही होते हैं उसमें. So I think that's a different kind of idea that I am hearing, at least अब तक जो भी मैंने सुना है, that why does it have to be that way, right? There should be more overlap and there should be more मिलाप जिसको बोलते हैं, and I think that is a step forward in the direction of, like you were saying, will America tolerate or resent? So I think that's very, very important.
Actually, Dr. Sam, if I can just insert on this, I really do believe that in many regards we've lost our children. Our children identify less as Indian Americans. They happen to say, I'm an American, my parents are of Indian descent. We certainly do try to imbibe in them certain values. Tauhar hote hain, Diwali ho gayi, Karwa Chauth ho gaya, Garba ho gaya, thoda bahut. We tell them ki beta hold on to your values. But I'll tell you, if you were to randomly talk to 10 kids outside, many of them would come back and say, identify as an American. So the question comes down to this. I do think that we have to provide them a recognition of our art forms, our dance, our culture, our music. As a techie, right? They often say that the best programmers are those that learn how to balance the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain. So while I'm a believer in STEM, I've always told my children, believe in STEAM. Arts are so vitally important, right? And from that perspective, एक criticism यदि मैं कर पाऊँ अपनी community का, right? We can only succeed if we can self-reflect, right?
Yeah.
Our Indian American community knows more about what's happening in India. बिहार की इलेक्शन में किसने रिजाइन किया,
बिल्कुल।
कौन जीतेगा, वो है तो मुमकिन है, वो नहीं है तो पप्पू मरेगा. Sorry with mentioning some of that, but this is what I hear, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, as a tech community, as immigrants, as professionals, if we seize the moment of recognizing our own city councils, our school boards, our assembly members, our state senators, leave alone Congress, right? Leave alone the President of the United States of America. You know, we can fundamentally shift how Americans perceive us. And in our neighborhoods, if we celebrate Christmas and Easter with the same passion that we do Baba Ganpati Moria, or for that matter, a Diwali celebration, or, you know, this idea of Ramadan and fireworks, I think we really have to just come back and submerge ourselves into the American, I don't know if the word is a system, but you become absorbed into this environment in which you do. It's like amoeba, right?
Right.
You just go in and nobody can know the difference.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we have purposely stood out. Now, under the Democratic Party, it was okay. The party of immigrants, right? Some were stronger than others, and you had a checkmate on you from time to time, and you questioned your existence. But in America today, I think the ability to speak what's on your mind has been normalized. And when people are normalized, they can say whatever they want. Till about a year ago, who would ever speak about H1 issues and go back to wherever you came back from, right? But today, it's being normalized. Why is it being normalized? And if I could just insert on this for a moment, somebody told me that, you know, presidencies change the dynamic of how a country operates. And I said, no. The presidency is a reflection of what people want.
Awesome.
So as techies, we want Silicon Valley to reflect differently our hopes and our aspirations. It's time to get involved.
Yeah.
And when you get involved, you make inroads. And politicians are not the smartest people in the world. They just have to be educated. You have to break bread with them. And then politics happens.
But, sir, we cannot deny the fact, Rashini, that the same gentleman is instrumental in getting a very important member, Eric Garcetti, you know, appointed as the ambassador to India. And at his house, you know, he hosted a party where all this confusion was resolved, and he is responsible for getting 1 million Indians into America in 2024 through his efforts. So I actually congratulate him for that.
What's up? Let me correct you. It's like having 10,000 people at a mela and coming back and saying, I got 100,000 people. I had nothing to do with Garcetti becoming ambassador, but I will tell you the small role that we played. So Eric Garcetti was nominated by President Bush to become the ambassador designate to
Biden.
Biden. He was ambassador designate to India. His nomination was a little bit in trouble. In the Senate, they had what's called a hold, and somebody put a hold on him because of some of the challenges he faced when he was mayor of Los Angeles.
Los Angeles, yeah.
So we had received a call at that time that it's time for him to meet some of the Indian Americans in the community, just to kind of, you know, crystallize his Indo-U.S. partnership role and all of that. So yes, Congressman Khanna and I did host Ambassador Garcetti at my home, and we had a gathering of about 25 people who I felt would be able to participate in this conversation about the U.S.-India partnership. Yes, I'm very proud of the fact that I was with a winning horse, but he could have lost too. But yes, you're absolutely right. Ambassador Garcetti, while he may have had a tremendous amount of criticism as a U.S. ambassador to India, many felt that he was towing the Democratic Party line and not recognizing India's emerging role as a geopolitical leader of the South Indo-Pacific, right? But nobody can take away the fact that the highest number of visas, both on immigration, student visas, were granted under not only the Biden presidency, but in this specific case, at the Embassy of India in New Delhi, it was Ambassador Garcetti.
Yeah, in 2024, right?
That's
Just
correct.
8 months ago.
It just seems like a year so
That
long
is
ago.
so awesome, and thank you for doing that,
Yeah.
Yogi ji. So speaking of visas, though, abhi ke waqt mein, 2025 mein, again,
Yeah.
there are a lot of things that have come up, right? Including the $100,000 processing fee and all
Yeah,
of that.
yeah.
Itni sari problems, you know, our immigrants are facing,
Yeah.
right? Very early on in their career, whether it's H1B
Yep.
OPT green card, of course, has always been like an ever never-ending wait time. So, are you or your team kind of helping with that, or do you have ideas or plans in that direction?
Yeah, we've always talked about H1Bs, but we've also talked about the reform that comes with it. And that's really one of the biggest conversations in the Senate right now. But leave aside a system that large, some amount of reform is needed. Things will happen. However, one can never deny that America's success in the world has been because of the fact of the H1 talent. Now, when we talk about H1 talent, we often say India, but India, China, all parts of the world. But the 70% of the H1 immigrant class typically comes in from South Asia. Now, obviously came into noise, right? Trump came back and said, we're going to cut this off. And in the tech world, it created an uproar. And the only uproar that I can compare this to was the demise of Silicon Valley Bank when it was going to go under and Silicon Valley said, we're going to lose the lender to startups, right? But if you take the noise away, just today, we got some good news. And this is indicative of Trump, right? President Trump. He says things, then he backpedals.
Yeah.
And he backpedals because I do think that somewhere along you have your MAGA base that you have to appease, and there's a tremendous amount of frustration with immigrants, and good or bad, it becomes a part of the norm. So we reacted like we all do, Mayday, Mayday, Houston, we have a problem kind of a situation. But I've always believed that understand the issue, understand what's happening, understand the undercurrents, the underpinnings, and where is that? So we've had conversations with Member of Congress through the organization that I belong to, which is Foundation for Indian and Diaspora Studies. Everybody said, we don't know, but let's lay low for a moment. Yesterday, the United States Chamber of Commerce filed a lawsuit against the president's action on H-1Bs and 100,000 for new H-1B applicants. Well, the good news is today the USCIS came back with an announcement that says this $100,000 does not apply to those that are in the United States who are filing a status change, an amendment, or an extension. So clearly, till a few days ago, every student on an F1 visa will never get an employer to pay for H1 is long gone. So today, if we go by what we heard today, a student on F1 can get an H1 and the employer may or may not have to pay $100,000. But this is the moral of the story. Let's not get paranoid. Let's not just go up in arms. Let's understand what is happening. Silicon Valley, Dr. Sam Brochet, H1 is very popular. I've had the pleasure of traveling to places like Idaho. I've traveled to Gary, Indiana, places. I've been to South Dakota. I've been to North Dakota. You know how they describe the H1 problems? They displaced my husband. Now, Silicon Valley, we're amongst an echo chamber of H1s or H1B communities or green cards and our pathway to waiting for a green card, which is a modern day servitude in my mind. But from an American perspective, you have to look at what this challenge means. So we as a community have to do better.
Absolutely.
We have to come back and rephrase the conversation. We have to come back and say the AI fight will be lost and the China hegemon is real. Now, is that a political conversation or is that an emotional conversation? An emotional conversation will be, "Arey, India mein wo Trump ko sambhal liya, unhone jawab nahi diya." And that's reason for in the centrality of the message, India's strength. I'm proud of that. But on the nuance of transactional politics, we need to understand how does this happen. Now, I'll be the world's biggest skeptic. We have X number of H-1Bs in this country, right? Maybe about 2 million. If we allow mobility, company to company, and we allow them to come back and say, for future talent, we're going to pay 100,000. Well, with the FANG companies, you're doing payouts of 5 million a year. And America is saying, I want talent. So if you can get a data scientist from India and somebody's going to pay them 5 million, they're going to pay, just like NVIDIA, Jensen came back. So the issue is that as a community, we need to get over the hype and the hyperbole.
Yes, I
and
agree.
we need to do what techies do best.
There's only 1 minute left, and I want to ask you a question. You are very close to the Congressman Rokhanna, right? So how does the community get in touch with you if they want help right now, if they're stuck in their visa problem or the green card issue?
Simple. email him, rokhanna1@gmail.com. Seriously, people often will come back and say, Yogi, you know Ro, call him. Here's
Yeah.
my advice to everybody else. He has one job and one job alone, to serve the people of his
Correct.
district. Now, he may say no, but keep asking. लोग मेरे को कहते हैं अरे तुम्हारा बहुत अच्छा दोस्त है मेरा दोस्त है there's no denying that but on the other hand everybody should feel that his office, and by the way, his office got ranked as the #1 office in constituent services by 500 members of Congress. Reach out to him. But I'll warn you, he may not say yes to everything. And I'll tell you, हमारी community, आधे काम तो ऐसे काम होते हैं कि बंदा ही भाग जाए. But for good intention work,
Yeah.
काम है, तकलीफ है, social security नहीं आ रहा, आपका veterans benefits नहीं हो रहा, आपके insurance का deductible reviews हो गया है, या तुम्हारे बच्चों को military academy में जाना है, reach out to him. His office will help you.
Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And thanks to Ro Khanna for being so approachable. So we are almost at time. Yogi ji, thank you so much for your presence. I'm really honored to have spend this afternoon with you both. But Jane se pehle, Dr. Sam, Yogi ji, any parting notes, any parting message for our community, the challenges they're facing, especially in terms of employment or just in general, kuch bhi aapko agar bolna hai hamare listeners ko, please go ahead.
Sure. Friends, you've heard our friend Yogi Chug on the show today, and I always want to say that be excited, be happy, and even this too shall pass, and you'll have a beautiful time, and you'll have more Diwalis and more Christmas. Try to enjoy Christmas and Thanksgiving and Halloween also as much as you enjoy Diwali and Holi. That is what I learned from our gentleman, our guest, Mr. Yogi, and thank you so much for being on the show. Have a great day.
Right.
Yogi ji, anything from you?
My only advice would be let's spend some time with our kids to not only dare to have them do the best that they can academically, let's be their safety net. Let's make sure to give them a debt-free college if we can. But I do think we should help our children build a little bit of love of India. India has so much to offer. And here's what I will tell every single person: care about the U.S. India partnership, because how India is perceived in the world today reflects upon my immigrant perception of how America sees me. We have miles to go and miles to go. So let's give back, give back, give back. Treat this country with the utmost of respect. I think India can take care of itself. It's a strong country.
Amazing. I love the fact that you ended on that. The woods are lovely, dark and deep. There are promises to keep
keep in mind.
and miles to walk before I sleep. On that note, since we ended on India,